Okay, this is going to be your brief introduction to Stormboard. There are way more features here than I can cover in 15 to 20 minutes, but I'm going to try to give you at least enough of a taste that you can decide if this is something you want to pursue with your students or if it's not for you. So this is the Stormboard website. You can get a free account. The free accounts are pretty limited, but that's what I'm using, and so that's what you'll be able to see today. So I've got mine set up already, and I'm just going to click login. That takes me to my Stormboard dashboard. This getting started set of links to videos up here will stay here until you tell it to go away. So I definitely have left it there to refer to as I'm going forward, and these are helpful. If you definitely want to pursue this tool, I would look at their professional development as well. And then down here, you can see my existing Stormboards. For some reason, there isn't like a preview screen, which is a little bit odd. But I can just go in and show you the different ones that I have. This first one was just for me to track my professional development. And so each of these sections will be one of the professional development opportunities I'm looking at this summer. And so in here, if you click on the tab, you can see you can edit the colors. You can change what shape it is. You can change what kind of a note it is. And then down here in the corner, there's a comment. Comments are a good way to get in more information. So for each of the day one morning sessions, I put in their title and who presented them so I can refer back to that. This is just a kind of really geeky, nerdy way to use this. I'm not sure this is the way I would have students use it, but it's a visual way to organize something if that's something that is helpful for you and your students. I have this set up so that each section is going to be a different professional development opportunity, but you could also have this set up as a what we need to get done in progress and completed tasks too, so that sticky notes move through that process as you are working on tasks like that. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard and show you my next one. This one's a concept map. And so what I did for this one is I just picked one of their templates that's just one big section. And then I put in I started an engineering concept map. Okay, you can see up here, there's a really zoomed out version. So you have just kind of an overview of where all your stickies are. You can adjust this slider to zoom in more or zoom out and get kind of an overview. You can get really big so you can't see everything at the same time. Or so you can't really read the small things, but that's an option you have. So you'll notice that on some of these they have comments. And so that one I just explained what it was. For recycled materials, I just said old cardboard boxes as one idea. Plastic bottles is maybe another. Packaging material. So I can just keep adding to that as I have new ideas. Another thing that I might want to add under materials is storage or organization. So to make a new tab, I'm just going to double click. I'm going to make it match the color. And I can say storage. And then under storage, I don't know why it made a new one. Under storage, I can set in different comments. To connect these, I'm just going to click on either one of them, and then this arrow on the bottom, I at first thought it was to resize the tab, but that's not it. You just drag it over and connect it. You can resize them in here, so if I wanted to make storage really big, setting it to text like this is what makes it look like an outline format, and that's just something I'm doing visually. You can look at the history, so if you have tabs that you're editing, you can go through and see all the changes that have been made to it. You can change its shape, copy it, you can lock it so it's not going to be able to move, and those are all options you have. Okay, so I'm going to go on to a different one. Another way to get to your other storms, and each of these words are called storms, is to go to the storm picker, and I'm going to go to the genetics unit plan now. So this is something that I'm playing around with the idea of as maybe something you can share with students to give them kind of a roadmap of what you'll be doing in your unit. So the different sections I have set up with the 3 standards that would be covered in this unit. And I'm showing you 3 different ways that you can display them. This one, it's just all on one sticky note and it gets pretty small. This one, just the title of it is on there, and then in the comments is the is the description. And then this third one is an index card. And I don't think an index card is really a good fit for this, but it is an option that you have. So with an index card, I'm going to make one for this one for vocabulary. So I'm going to double click to make a new one. I'm going to choose index card as my option. My title is going to be vocab. And I'm going to make it pink because I've color coded all of my vocab pink for this. Okay. And then I check mark to make it be a reality. All right, so now that I've got my card titled, I can add in individual things. So some vocab for this unit might be pedigree, allele, dominant, and recessive. I can drag these around in any order I would like, okay, so they can be moved within that index card tab. I can also assign a task from this pane, and that's true of any of these things. So that's kind of a cool feature. In the free version, you can only share your board with 5 people, so I wouldn't be able to share this with a whole class. I do think that you could set it up so if all of your students had free accounts, they could be working in small groups and share their board with you. So you would be, if their small group was 4 people, you would be the 5th person and that would max out the board. But free accounts also have a limit of 5 boards. So I'm not sure how many as the teacher you can own on your own. So it really is limited in the free version. And they made their basic plan free for educators through June 30th, 2020. And I'm not sure if they're planning on extending that into the fall if we're still doing distance learning. So a couple quick features. I showed you commenting. Another thing you can do is vote. So right now I have 10 votes. So if I wanted to have students vote on which vocabulary word they thought was the most confusing, they could put all of their votes on one of those. So I put all 10 on there. And maybe I decide 8 is better. That's really hard to see. I don't know if you can... I can zoom in enough so, and then maybe I think allele is the next most confusing. So I'd give my other 2 votes there. So by giving students multiple votes like that, they can distribute them in a way that really gives you some granular data on what they're thinking. And so that feature is kind of a neat one. So if I wanted to assign a particular task, like let's say I'm going to assign animal behaviors to a particular student, this checkbox, I can decide who to assign it to. I'm the only one on the board, so I'm going to have to assign it to myself. And I can also put a deadline on there or no deadline. Okay. And so once that happens in my task panel over here, I can see that I have an assignment that is incomplete. So this is only visible within this board. So students would have to navigate into the board to see what their tasks are. I could see this being extremely useful for something like a yearbook, where you have kids who are kind of out and about and you're only checking in with them once a week. They could be working on this collaboratively and keeping track of who's doing what and managing tasks. And so that would give them maybe some more control over that. So that's definitely something I would think about doing. The last thing I want to show you before I make a new one is one of the types of notes that you can make is a whiteboard. And with the whiteboard, you've got a whole other space in here that you can use. You can type in it. So if I wanted to make a list of like things to do, so prep, you get the idea. I can highlight, I can erase, I can draw things. I can label them if I care to. So you've got a much bigger area here. You can download the whiteboard and save it as an image on your computer. And it also will just become a tab on here. Okay, I'm going to close the task panel. You'll notice on this board that I have things color coded in a way that makes sense to me. Down here, you've got this legend box. And you can tell what these, you can assign the different colors labels. So my green ones are my standards, my pink are my vocab, etc. With the free plan, you can't edit the template, so I can't give these sections titles and I can't add another section, even though there's this button here. If I click on it, it says that it's not available in the personal, but I can resize the section. So if I'm running out of space, I can go in here and say, well, I want this to be way longer. We've got way more stuff to do. And then it makes all of them longer to match, which is kind of a nice feature. So you can give yourself more space. Okay. Now let's get into actually creating a board, because they have some really amazing templates in there that I could see being used for graphic organizers and to help students organize their writing and those kind of things, which is pretty cool. I think I have a storm left. Let's see if it'll let me make one. Okay, so I'm gonna show you off a raft, which is a type of writing assignment that I have very much enjoyed. And I'm going to be pulling from a thermal energy one that I did before and just kind of reformatting it. RAFT is an acronym. So I'm going to choose a template. The blank templates are really great. Some of the ones in here, they don't have headings assigned to their sections, but you do have things like a Venn diagram in here. So if you wanted to have students work on a Venn diagram, they could be pulling around those different sticky notes and collaborating in different ways. The bullseyes are pretty cool too. You can have different areas and then different like intensities within that area. So there's some good ones in there, but the ones I want to show you are the ones in education. 5-paragraph essay outline. You can have students start out with this and then manipulate where they're going to put their various things. A character map. So the character map looks, acts, how the other characters act towards that character. Compare and contrast. There's some basic ones in here that are pretty cool. There's this thing that's like a KWL on steroids. You've got a lot of options. The one I'm going to pick, though, is a raft. And so RAFT stands for role, audience, format, and topic. So this is the one that I want. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So in my original RAFT assignment, I have, it's for thermal energy, and so the roles that they can take on are a water molecule, an ice cube, some of the various scientists who were responsible for the temperature scales. Frosty, I think, is who I'm going to be today. I'm going to be Frosty the Snowman. So in role, I'll just pop in a sticky note that says Frosty. Probably supposed to be capitalized. Okay, so I'm going to make it wider just so that it's a little bit easier to see. And then you go through and you choose, okay, you're writing as Frosty, so I'm going to be Frosty here. Who is my audience? Who am I talking to? And so Frosty, you could pick the magician if you choose to. That's also an enemy of your chosen role, but you're kind of trying to you're going to pick something in there. So it makes sense for Frosty to talk to the musician. So I'm going to do that. That's my audience. Okay, and then what format? I feel like a letter is probably going to be the thing that I'm going to write. I'm just changing the color because I find it fun to change the color, and it's great as far as I'm concerned. So then the topic that I'll have them write about is phase changes. That there's something that Frosty probably feels pretty passionate about. Okay, so I've got this, and then down here, I've got space where I can sort of brainstorm what my writing is going to be. I could write the whole thing in here, but that seems a little bit challenging. I could put in the elements of a letter, like, okay, I'll have an opening, I'll have maybe 3 paragraphs in there, and I'll have a closing. So what are my 3 paragraphs going to be about? And so this can be used as a pre-writing activity. You could, if you don't want to have your students share all of their boards with you, because that could get overwhelming, they could take a picture of this and send it to you. The only thing that isn't captured in a picture is if they do any comments on their ideas. You would only see this screen, okay? All right, I hope that this was a helpful overview and gives you some ideas to use with Stormboard. I think it could be a great option, but I personally can't see myself investing in it unless someone buys an account for me. So you make that decision for yourself, play around with it, and I hope that you found this useful.